So, let me ask you one more just kind of casual question before we get into some news of the day. And I bring this up because you have the Kurt Cobain hair, and I have actually gotten into this on Twitter with people before. Do you think if Kurt Cobain lived, where do you think he'd be politically? Do you think he'd still be a big lefty, or do you think he would like you'd read a take and you'd be like, oh, really, dude? Success changed you. What do you think?
I've thought about that. But let me just say, and this, I'm gonna brag. I saw Nirvana when I was in high school.
No, I'm so jealous.
And they played with the Breeders. But anyway, so I've kind of fantasized about this stuff before, and I gotta say, I don't know if he would have remained true left. And one of the reasons is because he would have been exposed to something called the internets, and that can really, really, push you one way or another. And I kind of am scared he would have been like, "Yay, Liz!" in a way.
Really interesting. But why? See, I don't know. Obviously, we have no idea, but the reason I would tend to just take a guess, and I would imagine he'd be, somebody tweeted this at me where they're like, I'd imagine he would be like a Kim Gordon had he lived. And
that would be fantastic.
Yeah. And I tend to lean toward he would. And the reason I feel that way is because when he was alive, he would just vocally say, and he didn't give a shit, that he's a socialist. This was in the early 90s. He wouldn't say stuff like that. He just said it anyway. He didn't give a fuck. And everybody else was drunk on the Clinton Kool-Aid, talking about this cool guy playing a saxophone. And here's Kurt Cobain going, yeah, I'm pretty much a socialist. I'm just not really, I don't really register in what's, acceptable in the Overton window here. And so I'd like to think that had he lived, he would, at the very least, he would have been like a big burner. And he would have, like, I feel like he'd be like a Kim Gordon, Susan Sarandon type had he lived. I don't know for sure. I could totally be wrong. And plus, time changes too. But I feel like if you base it on how he behaved in life, there's more reason to think he would have been a big lefty today than he wouldn't be. But the internet's a good point. I hadn't considered that angle.
Yeah, I think I like your explanation. I'm going to go with that just so I don't think poorly of him. But like someone like Joe Strummer would have been a burner. There is no question, no doubt. He actually gave Bernie props in the 80s. Yeah, no doubt.
He would have been behind Corbyn. He would have been using his platform to defend Corbyn against the smears and tell Labor to get on board with Corbyn. And
he would have been Billy Bragg.
Yeah. Right on. Well, I'm glad we hashed this out. I don't get to talk about this kind of stuff with many people.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together